Paul, the word freedom is a key word in many ways, but it's also a word that can be really misheard. For Paul, freedom is almost always freedom to serve. That's the spin that he puts on it. Freedom from forces and identities that are derogatory to authentic existence, we might call it. Freedom from what he calls the powers, who are forming us in such a way that our identity is preformed to look self-centered. So when Paul talks about freedom, he means freedom from those habits and practices and cultural phenomena that shape us to being what God would not want us to be. We're free in Christ to serve one another. So freedom for Paul has this underpinning of the story of the self-giving Christ. We're free from those cosmic forces that are trying to force us into their mold. And we're free from that in order to be released for service to one another. We're free then to serve one another, to bear one another's burdens, to look after the needs of each other in corporate forms. So the contrast of bearing one another's burdens as free agents inspired by the Spirit for one another's benefits, the contrast to that is the world that Paul knew very well. It's a world of honor and shame, very much like today, in which everyone is after one's own self-interests, serving oneself, making sure that one's honor, one's reputation, one's prestige is always upwardly mobile. And that's the world that Paul knew was everywhere around him. It was the Greco-Roman world of the day. And as I say, not wholly unlike the world we know today. And Paul calls that kind of existence slavery. Whether they thought of it in those terms or not, Paul calls self-interestedness, that kind of unhealthy self-interestedness, slavery, because the contrast is freedom in Christ, where we're freed up to live lives that are responsible toward one another under God.